Hello and welcome back. Today we're doing kind of like a part 2 to last week's video on what would have happened if Eureka did not break her leg or injure her ankle or injure her knee, whatever it was, on season 9. And obviously we saw she made the top 5. So if she made the top 5 of season 9, she would not have been asked back for season 10. So how would that season have shaken? Anyways, how would that season have gone if Eureka wasn't on it? I can say it would be a little bit different. It's actually not like drastically different. There are a few changes though, so we will get into them episode by episode. But first, make sure that you are following me on Instagram and Twitter. Subscribe to the channel. We're about to hit 20K. I'm very excited. Thank you all for subscribing if you already have. And check out my Patreon if you want. There's a bunch of extra content there. And if you want to sign up for the $5 tier, then you could be a guest on my upcoming podcast. So check that out for more information. Let's get into this video. So obviously we have 13 queens going into the season instead of 14, which means we're going to have to cut one episode, Evil Twins, and that was a very easy decision to make. And we're also going to need to kind of change the order of some of the episodes, and I'll explain why and what we do with that when we get there. Episode 1, nothing changes. Mayhem Miller wins, Ms. Cracker and Blair Sinclair on the top. Dusty Ray Bottoms is low, and we have the Calorie and Vanessa lip sync where Vanjie becomes the internet sensation that she is today. So the real changes start in episode 2, which obviously we saw Eureka was in the bottom here. Now this is the Farmer-rusical, and we're going to keep the teams the same. The only thing will be Eureka is not on her team, and that actually makes it make more sense anyway, because Eureka's team had an extra member. They had 7 and the other team had 6, so now both teams have 6 members, and I still think that the Vixens team would win. They just did so good, so they're all going to be in the top, and Vixen is going to win as their team captain. Now, who would be in the bottom instead of Eureka? Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Monique Hart. She was low in this episode, along with Aquaria, but there was just no way they were going to throw Aquaria into the bottom 2 this early. So Monique is going to lip sync against Calorie Kardashian-Williams, the icon, the star, the legend. And I do think Monique could win this lip sync. Obviously, we saw later on in the competition, Monique lip syncs and everything goes to hell. But I think at this point, she already had this outfit made, so it's not like she had to make this outfit like she did the one she was wearing for the episode she eventually does go home in, the mermaid look. So the reason she didn't know the words to that lip sync and was all over the place is because she was making her outfit for that runway. She had this outfit done already, so I think she could learn the song. Honestly, this song just seems way more up Monique's alley anyway. I think Monique could slay this, even when she wasn't at her peak of lip syncing, like we see on All Stars 4. So Calorie is going to go home still, and we're going to go into the Tap That App challenge, which Eureka was in the top 4. She was on a team with Cracker, Vixen, and Blair. And we're actually just going to keep that a 3-person team. Every other team, a 3-person team, except there'll be one team of 4. It doesn't really matter. Asia O'Hara is still going to win this episode. And I actually think that Dusty Ray Bottoms is going to be in the top. I think that without Eureka there, it would make sense to have someone from each group be in the top. And Dusty was very clearly the best in her group. Even if her runway on this episode was abysmal, one of the worst I've ever seen, I still think she deserved to be in the top here for her great performance in the challenge. Now, our bottom 3 does not change. We have Mayhem Miller and Yua Hamasaki. lip syncing, and obviously Mayhem Miller slays, has one of the best lip syncs of the entire season. And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to the winner of season 10, Yua Hamasaki. Now, let's go into episode 4, which is the last ball on Earth. Again, nothing changes in this episode at all. We have Aquaria winning, Cameron and Cracker in the top. We have Monet send home Dusty Ray bottoms. Now, here is where the season takes a turn, and here's where things start to really change. Because we have an odd number of queens, which does not work for Bossy Rossi, which was the next episode on the actual season. So we have 9 queens left, which is the perfect amount for the DragCon panels episode. So we're just going to do a quick little flip. We're going to do DragCon and then Bossy Rossi. So DragCon, obviously Eureka won. She was on a team with Cameron and Monet. And then we saw the team of Cracker, Vixen, and Blair in the bottom 3. But we now have Mayhem Miller here instead of Eureka. What would happen? I actually think Mayhem is just going to take Eureka's spot on that team. We saw Monet and Mayhem were pretty good friends on set, and I think the other team would probably want to say the same anyways. So we're just going to have Mayhem with Monet and Cameron. And they are still going to be the winning team, but I actually think that Mayhem would win this challenge. And if you saw my What Would Have Happened If Season 10 Was Judged Fairly challenge, I gave the win to Mayhem there too. I think it is just because she is a seasoned performer. She knows how to get on a mic and just take control of the show and entertain a crowd. Obviously, she's one of the queens here that had actually done DragCon before being on season 10, so it's not like she's going in blind. She actually has a good advantage here. So yeah, Mayhem, her greatest asset is her charisma, and here is a challenge where she can just show that off. So I think Mayhem would 100% win this challenge with Cameron and Monet in the top with her. That leaves our bottom 3 still the same, and Blair is going to go home. Now we have Bossy Rossi, and again, another challenge Eureka won. So here, I'm just going to put Aquaria with Monique. They worked together the episode prior, and I think that they got along well on set. Obviously, Monique says all the time she's rooting for everyone black, Aquaria, and Dusty. So they obviously were pretty close on set. So we're going to have them team up and do the I Was Married to a Cactus or whatever one, and we're just going to cut the baby one. Or, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. They could do either one, and I think that in either one they would both do great. So what is going to happen here? I think we're going to see Ms. Cracker win this challenge. Without Eureka there, I think that they needed to have a comedy queen that they could push towards the end of the competition, and Cracker is just that queen. And she's obviously at the peak of her comedic chops in this episode. So I think that Cracker would definitely win this over Monique, only because based on that first episode alone, where Monique was the obvious winner, and Cracker was, I mean, to me, she had a pretty safe look. One of the better ones, but still pretty safe. They gave Cracker such high praise, and they shafted Monique and just made Monique safe. So that shows me that between the two, they were always going to pick Cracker over Monique Hart, at least on this season. So Monique will not get the win here, even though I low-key feel like she deserved it. And we're going to have Cameron be in the top because based on who's left, Cameron did the best. And I think it was a really unexpected performance from her. We hadn't seen her be that funny yet, and she does really, really well here, especially against Monet, who just kind of like flopped. So we're going to have a bottom 3 of Mayhem, Monet, and the Vixen, but I'm gonna switch things up because Mayhem had her second win. And based off of that first episode where Mayhem had one of the better looks, but in my opinion wasn't the best, they gave Mayhem the win there, which means that they definitely saw story potential for her. They saw her as a potential contender, someone they potentially would want to see at the end. And obviously we see Mayhem flame out towards the episode 3, 4, and 5. But in this scenario, Mayhem wins 2 challenges. So, to be completely honest, I see them pushing Mayhem to the end in this scenario. They already have the storyline set up for her. They see her as a potential contender now with 2 wins. So I do not think they're going to put Mayhem in the bottom here. I think that they're going to put her as low, which in my opinion is where she deserved to be anyway. And we're going to have Monet and the Vixen in the bottom 2. They both have had bottom 2 placements already, and although Vixen had a win, she just really, really did bad in this challenge. So we're going to have Monet and the Vixen lip sync to Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and this is going to be the double Shantae of the season. I think this is going to be the double Shantae. Obviously, they liked Monet enough to keep her along on the season towards the end, and the Vixen was their main source of drama. So I don't think that they would want to lose either of them this early. So I'm going to say that that would be a double Shantae. And I know the Vixen would turn this song. So that is my opinion on what would happen in this scenario. So now we go into top 8 Snatch Game. Again, I think Mayhem would do really well in this challenge. We've never seen Mayhem do Snatch Game. We've seen that she does struggle with improv, but I think that if she could just pick a character that showed off her natural charisma, she would be set and she would be fine. So I am going to say Mayhem would be in the top here with Monet and Aquaria. And to be completely honest, all she has to do is do better than Cameron, which I think that she would. So Cameron and Cracker are going to be safe, and we have a bottom 3 of Asia, the Vixen, and Monique. Obviously, they save Asia because she was wearing her mask, and they send home Monique in one of the worst lip sync performances ever, but it's fine. So, yeah, not a ton changes in this episode. We're just going to have Mayhem take Eureka's spot in the top. So now we have the Cher Rusical, and we have Mayhem here. So I'm just going to say, just to be simple, Mayhem is going to take Eureka's spot. And I think Mayhem, again, would do... I swear, guys, I'm not like this deranged Mayhem stan. I just think that a lot of the challenges that she would do the best in are the ones that she wasn't there for. So I think she would do great here. She was great in the Farmer Rusical. She can't really sing for what we know based off of All Stars 5, but none of these girls could sing almost at all, so that didn't really seem to be a factor in how the judging happened. I think what they really were looking for is, can they evoke Cher and can they own a stage? And I'm assuming Mayhem could probably do both of those. So I'm going to put Mayhem in the top here. Sorry if that seems delusional. Looking at who's left, I'm just like, Mayhem is such a star when she's on that stage. Like, how could she not be amazing in this? So we're going to have Mayhem in the top with Monet and Cameron, but obviously Cameron gets her win here. And that leaves a bottom 3 of Aquaria, Asia O'Hara, and the Vixen. Obviously, Asia sends home the Vixen. So now we are at our top 6 makeover challenge. Ms. Cracker gets her win here, and oh my gosh, again, I think Mayhem would do fine here. Like, Mayhem is very put together. She had very solid runways, and I just don't see a scenario in which Mayhem doesn't at least do okay. And considering how terrible Aquaria's was, and how bland Cameron's was, and Monet's wasn't good either, I think Mayhem could easily be in the top in this challenge. I really don't think that's crazy to say. Do you guys think that's crazy to say? I mean, I really think that if Mayhem had just made past those first couple challenges that maybe weren't necessarily up her alley, that she could slay the rest. I'm standing by what I'm saying. I'm standing by, I think Mayhem would do really well with these challenges at the end of the season. So, yes, we have Cracker win, we have Asia and Mayhem in the top, and then we have Cameron send home Monet exchange. And we have our top 5 episode now, which is, I'm going to say Breast World. And I switched this around because in newer seasons we have a top 5 acting challenge. And I really just think that Evil Twins challenge was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, and it's not like Breast World was much better, but we're just going to put Breast World here. This one was rough because a lot of the queens here didn't do that well. Cameron didn't do well, Cracker didn't do well, and I don't think Mayhem would do well. So that leaves Asia and Aquaria for the top. I still think Asia would get a win here. This would be her second win, and it was pretty obvious that they wanted Asia in that top 4, so this is just like a nice way to get her there with one more win. So between Cameron, Cracker, and Mayhem, who would be safe? I had to look at the way that the wins were divided and the top placements, because at this point, it's not really about who did the worst. It's about who could be a contender in the end. And between the three, I think it would be Cracker. Cracker had a pretty consistent track record. She'd never been in the bottom. She'd had a couple low placements. Well, she had one low placement, whereas both of Cameron and Mayhem had bottom placements, low placements. I think that they would save Cracker, put her in the bottom three, and then make Cameron and Mayhem lip sync. So, what would happen with a new attitude lip sync between Cameron and Mayhem? Well, here's what Mayhem would be wearing for her Old Lady runway. And obviously, we saw Cameron have a full character that she brought into the lip sync. So, I honestly think Cameron is probably going to beat Mayhem here. And Mayhem is going to go home in 5th place. Now, that leaves us with our top 4 of Aquaria, Cameron Michaels, Ms. Cracker, and Asia O'Hara. How would this lip sync for the crown shake out? Now, we saw that Cameron got the wheel spun on her, so she got to pick who she got to lip sync against, and she picks Asia. I think that would still happen. I think that Cameron knew that it was probably between Aquaria and Eureka for the win of the season, and I think in this scenario it's between Aquaria and Cracker. So Cameron picking Asia is just a way of saying at least one of us will be in that final lip sync. So I still think she would pick Asia, and obviously the butterfly gate happens and Cameron moves on. What happens with an Aquaria and Cracker lip sync to If? Now, we know from the actual lip sync that Aquaria did not do nearly as well as they edited her to be, which means to me that they wanted Aquaria in that final. Would they be willing to get rid of Cracker? I'm going to say no. I think that from the first lip sync for the crown, this is only the second one, they had to do something to shake it up, and in this case, it was having a final 3. I think that final 3 was probably going to happen no matter who was there, just to have a little gaggy moment for the finale. So I'm going to say that they're going to both move on. Cracker's not the best lip syncer, but Aquaria obviously didn't do that well either, so I think that they would just send them both on so that they have both options for the win in the final lip sync. And then we have the final lip sync, and who would win? I think it's still going to be Aquaria. I think that Cracker is such a good option for All-Stars that they wouldn't necessarily want to do that with Aquaria. Aquaria just had such winner energy that season, and so many people backed her. Obviously, Ms. Cracker had the fan support, but I still do think they would give the win to Aquaria. She was just so polished, and she surprised them in challenges that people probably didn't think she would do that well in, that she slayed, like the Snatch Game and Breast World. So I still think Aquaria would win, and Cracker would come back for All-Stars 5. So not a ton changes if Eureka's not there, but we do have a different Final 5 and a different Final 4. So it's enough that I was like, it can warrant its own video. So let me know what you guys think. I promise I'm not a crazy Mayhem stan. I'm sure y'all are going to read me for putting Mayhem in the top so many times, but like I'm not apologizing for that. I really do think Mayhem would do really well towards the end of the season. And let me know, do you think they would crown Aquaria or Cracker? I still think it would be Aquaria. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. And make sure to follow and subscribe. Thank you to my patrons. And it has been a long day trying to tell the difference between Cracker and Aquaria. I mean, it's like they're twins. Okay, guys, have a great day. I will see you in the next one.